welcome again to the third episode about this coffee table. It's a fully parametric table. If you haven't seen the first episode where I created, I recommend you to do it. Also, if you have a CNC and want to drill all these holes on the CNC, there's a second episode about how to make the path to be fully parametric to adapt to the dimensions of the table. And in this third episode we are going to talk about creating plans, printable plans using the TechDraw Workbench that also will adapt based on the dimensions that we enter into the spreadsheet. As you might know from the first episode, in this spreadsheet I have all the dimensions that I'm using for creating the coffee table. Changing any of them will automatically update the coffee table. So let's start creating the plans. Let's move to the TechDraw Workbench. Insert page using template. Here I have a list of templates. I will select the A4 landscape blank because I want just an empty page, no other information. So let's get started. First of all, let's take a look at the table and see which of these elements are unique, because I'm not going to make a page for each of the elements since they are identical or maybe mirrored. I will just make one plan for one of them. Let's take this leg, the front left leg. I will use the original. I want it to be projected onto this page so I can get all the dimensions, where to place the holes, the width, the height, the length of the leg. So I will go back to the 3D view, select the leg, rotate the view on one of the sides that already has holes in it, and after rotating the view I will click on this button to make sure my view is perpendicular to that plane. So the leg is selected, I have the rear view selected. Now I will click this button, which means insert projection group. You can see here it is already checked the primary view, and I want a second view, the one on this side where I also have some holes. So I will check the left checkbox, leave everything as is for now, and click on OK. Now if I go to the page, you can see the projection of the leg. Actually the left has shown me the other part. It considers a counterclockwise rotation, so I will have to go to the projection group, double click on it and select the right projection, uncheck the first one. I want them rotated. I will click this button, but when clicking the button you can see that the left actually changed, the point of view changed, so I will have to check the button corresponding to the same side. They are rotated 90 degrees. I will click OK, move them a little upwards, and I will select the projection group, go to the data tab, and here is scale type, page and 1. I don't want that, I want a custom scale type, and I will modify this until it fills the page correctly. I can scroll up 0.70, I will leave it at 0.6 so I can have some space around the drawing. I will move both views of the leg lower in the page, but to do that I will select the first one, the front, and by clicking and moving it around, the top will also move. If I move just a secondary projection, you can see it moves without moving the first projection. So if I want to move them both, I will have to select the first one. You can also see here the text front and top 001, but you need to know that these two won't appear in the final drawing. Also the border won't appear, just the simple drawing. Let's go to the top, and if I want some text written here, I have to go to the data tab and the caption field and just write secondary view. You can see it below top 001. If I right click and export PDF leg and go to the folder, I will open the PDF. You can see that nothing else appeared except the text that I entered there. Also take into account that the text will stay upper where now it's written top 001 if you look at this view. So now the page is kind of ready, but we still have to write the dimensions. And first of all I need to write on the page the length of the leg. I will select the top edge and go here, select the button horizontal dimension. And after the dimensions created, I will just move it around to be visible. I will do the same, selecting this end and the vertical dimension this time, and do the same for the bottom view, a vertical dimension. Now let's select one of the circles, one of the holes, and click on this button, which is insert diameter dimension. You can see it's placed pretty oddly. I can just hover it, click on it, hold the mouse down and move it around wherever I want to. I still need some information, which is the placement of the holes. You can see here there's an X, it's overwritten by this diameter dimension. Just move it. Now I can select the X in the center of the circle, hold the Control key down and select one of the corners of the leg, and now I will enter a horizontal dimension. Do the same for the other circle, select the center, hold Ctrl down, select the corner of the leg, enter a horizontal dimension, and I will need to do the same for the vertical dimension. I will select the dimension farther away, the corner, enter the vertical dimension and then just move the dimension to the right. This way you can see that the guideline will pass through the center of the second circle. Now let's do the same for the bottom circles, for the bottom holes. The document looks as it should. I will just right click, export PDF, go to the folder, double click on it to open it. Make sure I have all the information. Try to look and see if you have anything that is not determined in the view. I realized that I don't have one of the dimensions required to make this leg, which is the depth of these 4 holes. For that I will select each of the view from the projection group. First the front, scroll down in the data tab to hard hidden and select true instead of false. Do the same for the top. Select true instead of false, move away. The holes from this view, I can view them from the side in the first view, and in the second view I can see the holes from the first view. So now I can select one of these lines on the side of the hole, click on the vertical, move it to the right so it covers the second hole too, and do the same for the bottom. Select the vertical of the hole, click on the vertical dimension tool, move it to the right. I will arrange them a little bit more. Maybe I should delete this 45, this distance, and use the bottom corner, set a vertical distance dimension. This way it's much easier to follow the sketch around. As I've told you in the beginning of the video, and as you might know from my other videos regarding this table, it's supposed to be fully parametric. For now, nothing here will change. If I want a table with 700 millimeters height, now all the drawings are messed up, the legs grew, and I simply cannot print this page. So let's go back to the initial table height that we've used for creating the drawing. Now everything is back as it should be, and there's a trick that I want to show you for having exactly the same type of drawing no matter the dimensions in the spreadsheet. I will go to the projection group, go to the scale, and I have a 0.60 scale, 0.60 out of the 373. As you can see, this is the leg height. What I want to set for the scale is a value that will always make the length of the leg equal to 0.60 multiplied by 373. This is the dimension that I've created the drawing on. And I want, no matter how long this leg is, let's say it's 800, I want it to be 223.8. Let's enter a formula here. It's 0.6 multiplied by 373, which is the value from the drawing, the length of the leg. So it's 0.6, the scale that I've set here, multiplied by this length, and I will divide this by the leg height, actual length in this drawing of the leg. It's 0.6 multiplied by 373. This will be a constant number. No matter what I change in the spreadsheet from now on, this will stay the same, that number, because it is based on the drawing. So press enter again. You can see that the scale is now calculated and it's still 0.6. So let's go to the spreadsheet. Let's write 800 to have something that will get out of the page anyway. Now go back to the page and you can see that nothing happened because I have to select the page and click on this button, which is redraw page. This might be annoying if I have, let's say, 10 pages. I modify a lot of values in the spreadsheet and I want to have the plans update correctly. I will just go to the top of the model, right click on the document name, click on mark to recompute, then click on the recompute button. It does the same thing. Let me change the spreadsheet again. I will go back to 400. You can see here all the dimensions are messed up, so I will have to go here, right click, mark to recompute, click the recompute button, the refresh button, and now everything is correctly calculated and shown in the view. Right click, export as PDF. I have the drawing as it should be. Let's do the same for another value. Let's say 600. Press enter, right click on the document, mark to recompute, click the recompute button. Everything has changed accordingly. What I need to still look to take the document page by page if I want it to look nice is the placement of the dimensions. You can see that they tend to not be placed perfectly for any dimension of the leg. I can move them a little around, tweak them, but they are readable anyway, so it doesn't matter. One last thing to do is go to the page, press F2 and rename it page leg, so it's easier to identify when it's not open here. Now let's create another page, still an A4 landscape blank, click on open, rename it page rails. I'm going to put both rails in a page. So let's go back to the 3D view, rotate the view. I select this face, click on the rear button so I have a perfectly perpendicular view. You can see the long rail is selected, and I click this button again, a projection group. It asks me in which page. I want in the rails page. Click on OK. I will click again on OK. Then open the page. Open the page in the tree 2, double click on the projection group. So now I can click also on the sides of the rail and the top of the rail. I think it's better to leave all these drawings in place. I will click OK. It takes some time to draw them. And now I'll go back to the 3D view, select the shorter rail, click on the right to have a perpendicular view, and select the same button again, insert projection group. I will click OK for now so I can open the page, scroll down. The second projection group, I will have to move it lower, and here you can see I have a value, it's called lock position. I won't use it because when changing the dimensions in the spreadsheet, if the position is locked, everything will get messed up. Double click on the projection group here again, select these views too, and then click on OK. Now go to the projection group, go to scale, select custom, and now scroll down until you find the right value. But looking at this drawing, I think it's better to just remove the shorter rail from this drawing and make it on a different sheet of paper. So I will just remove this, drag this to the center of the page. I can adjust a little bit the scale to 0.35 maybe. It still fits okay in the page. And now let's go enter the dimensions, but I still have to do something. Select this view, the front, scroll down and select for the hard hidden, select true, so I can see these two holes, also these on the end. Click on this button to insert a horizontal dimension and drag it to the top so it is visible that all these projections are the exact same length. Here I will select this line, click on the vertical dimension. Also in the section I will select this line and click on the vertical dimension, move it past the right. Let's do the same for these holes. I will select a circle, click on the diameter tool, leave it somewhere around here. For the main drawing we still have to enter the depth of these holes. It's 34. I will scroll it up. Also the distance from the edge, a vertical distance. I don't know where to fit it, maybe here to the right. Do the same for the bottom hole, select one and enter the diameter. And I still need the two dimensions here, a diameter for the larger hole and one dimension for the smaller hole. I need the distance between the two centers. You can see that these kind of drawings can easily get crowded. I will still have to enter the dimension between the edge of the rail and the center of the first circle, which is 65. So now let's right click on this, export PDF, long rail, and open it to make sure everything is where it should be. I have all the dimensions. I think everything is okay. I will save this page, close it, and go back to the page in the tree view and change the name from page rails to page long rail. Recompute everything, open the page again and go to the projection group, go to scale type, leave it to custom. I've already changed it to custom, and I have this value, it's a 610 and the scale of 0.35. So I will do the same thing, enter an expression 0.35 multiplied by 610, and we'll divide all of that using spreadsheet. The 610 is the long rail length. You can see the result is 0.35 again. This means that no matter what I change now for the long rail length, this drawing here will look proportional, will fit on the page. So let's just go and make a test, change the table length because the long rail length is calculated based on the table length, and give it a value of 500. Let's make a square table. Go back to the page. You can see everything is kind of messed up right now. I will have to select the page, click on this button which is redraw page, wait a little to update everything, and now you can see that the dimensions are moved around, but there's a problem with these two dimensions, which is the depth of the hole. I will select the lines again, enter the dimensions again. That is one important thing, you have to double check the drawings every time you recompute, you change something in the spreadsheet. Some things still don't work as they should in TechDraw. Probably there are some mistakes that I made. I will try to figure out how to solve this problem. Now let's go to the tabletop and make a sketch for the tabletop too. Let's go to the 3D view, rotate it because I need a view from the bottom. I need to know the placement of the holes. Create a new page, an A4 landscape blank. Go back to the 3D view and insert a projection group in page 002. I will click OK. Now I can open the page 002. You can see I have a projection of the tabletop, but I need to scale it. So I go to the projection group, change scale type to custom, and now let's reduce the scale until the tabletop fits the page. Now we can enter the dimensions, enter the length, the width of the tabletop, just as we did with the previous elements. What I still need to do is again enter another projection. Just go on the projection group, enter a bottom or top, doesn't matter, close it, select it, scroll down to hard hidden, make it true, recompute everything. Now I can enter here a vertical dimension to know the depth of the hole. I will now select this little segment, doesn't matter which one, just to be able to select it. You can see it's kind of difficult to make some selections, and it's at 2 millimeters. Now I know all the dimensions that I need for this tabletop. We have to enter for the projection group a scale factor, which for now is hard coded at 0.30, but I need to know which of the height or the length of the table is greater. So I will enter a conditional formula. First of all, we need to check that spreadsheet table length is greater than spreadsheet table width. After the question mark, I will write the result, the value for the true situation, and then after a double colon I will enter the value for the false situation. So if the table length is longer than the table width, I know that the table length is the actual length of my tabletop. I will just do the same thing as I did. It's a 0.3 divided by 500 multiplied with the table length. And if the condition is not true, which means the table width is bigger than the table length, I will just use the same 0.3 divided by 500 multiplied with spreadsheet table width this time. You can see I have a result of 0.30. Now let's go to the spreadsheet and modify these values. Let's enter an 800 value, go to the page. It is not scaled correctly, so I will have to go to the page, recompute, and look at the projection group. I can see I have a scale of 0.41, so the scale actually grew. And let me see where I have an error. Why does it get higher when it was supposed to get smaller? Because I mistakenly have used multiplication instead of division. Click on OK. You can see now I have a scale of 0. I will recompute the page. There's another mistake here, it's multiplied and then division. We'll click OK. Now I have a custom scale of 0.19. You can see the tabletop fits correctly in the page. Now I will go back to the spreadsheet and modify the length and the width of the table just to make sure that the formula, the conditional formula, is correct. Go back to the page, select it, recompute the page, and you can see everything fits just right. Well, almost perfect, but I can make minor adjustments. Now let's rename this page. It's called page top, and we'll close all the views. Now I will create another page for the short rail, and this will give me all the pages necessary, and we can move on to generate the printable PDF. Now what I need to do is to go to each of the pages and enter a little label in the corner to know which page is for what part. I will select the page, go to insert annotation. You can see it in the middle of the page. Of course, I will move it around. You have to know that the bottom text annotation won't be printed. This text, the default text, will be printed. So how can I modify it? If I select the annotation, you can see here the text. The text field is a list of lines for the text. So I have to edit it here. Short rail, one line. Now you can see it here. Recompute, do the same for all the pages. And now that I have all the pages ready, I can go to the TechDraw menu, go to page and print all pages, and use the embedded Microsoft Print to PDF from Windows. If you have another operating system, you should have a print to PDF. I'll just go to preferences, change the orientation to match my pages, go to advanced, change the paper size also to match the pages, close everything, click on print. You can see here the document generated. The first page is a list of the pages, and then I have all the pages. Here is the annotation that we just entered. That is the leg, this is the long rail, the top, top and the short tray. You can see I forgot to recompute these two things, so I have to go back and recompute them. But mainly this is the way you can export this document, all the pages that we have created. Now let's go back to FreeCAD, go back to the spreadsheet and modify the dimensions. Let's give it a table width of 450, a length of 900. Let's also modify the height a little. And now if I go to the pages, I believe everything will be messed up. I will go to the document, mark to recompute, and recompute the entire document. Now I know that everything is okay no matter what I've changed. Everything will be changed when we modify this spreadsheet, and all the jobs and the pages will update accordingly. I remind you, you have to recompute the entire document after changing something so the pages recompute, or simply go and select each page and click this button which is redraw page. Thank you for watching and see you next time.